So what are some of the toughest arrangements that you've done working with whoever? What are some of the toughest ones in general?
Toughest to perform or toughest to arrange?
Oh, good question. It's a good counter question to my question. Let's do both.
Um, Toughest to arrange. Um, it's hard because the ones that are toughest to arrange a lot of the time don't make it to a performance.
Mm. Okay,
If
that would
it's
make
a song,
sense.
if it's a song that just like isn't really working, or I
Yeah.
did arrangement for a group called The Exchange once. It was a Taylor Swift medley,
Mm.
and they just weren't super vibing with it. Um, and so, and I was kind of having trouble like making it original sounding and making it interesting. And so there's sometimes when just like a song choice doesn't super vibe, or the group, there are all these little things that can kind of go wrong. And I think, um, yeah, there's a certain amount of stuff that'll end up on the cutting room floor just
Hmm.
by nature of creating things. Not everything is going to work out
Yeah.
perfectly. So I think those are like the toughest arrangements because they didn't ever quite hit their like peak, hit
Peak. Yeah.
their point where I was like really feeling it. Um, and everything that's been released hasn't been, that much of a struggle. Things take a long time, but usually it's like it's not like a frustrating long time.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
Well, if you're enjoying the process, yeah.
yeah, I'm really figuring this out. I'm really being picky about every little detail, and I'm feeling good about it. Um, and then
S-
toughest to perform. Um, I mean, Daft Punk is really difficult.
Yeah.
um, and normally don't like to write super hard arrangements, generally speaking. Um, but given something like that, that's gonna be super virtuosic by the nature of the song, it's really fun to kind of get to do that kind of thing. And also, most of Pentatonics is like more virtuosic. Like a lot of their like classical instrumental type pieces, Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy,
Hmm.
and stuff like that. Those are also kind of tricky to
Yeah.
perform.
Yeah.
Um, but
Do you
yeah,
ever do you ever battle with the fact of like trying like or what's your perspective on like a song that people know so well? Is it scary or intimidating to try to do your own thing, or do you how do you find the balance of doing your own thing versus you know changing something that people know so well? For example, like you said, Dance the Sugar Plum Fairy. Like everybody's heard that 1,000 times. Is that
yeah.
intimidating or is that exciting, or how do you find your own in that?
Yeah, I think, take into consideration what the context is, who's the audience going to be,
Mm,
what kind of song it is, and, how precious people are with it. That was kind of a thing on the sing off.
interesting.
We were doing things like Bruce Springsteen and Michael Jackson songs, and like people had the idea in their head of what the song sounded like, or what the lead vocal sounded like, or what these things were supposed to sound like. So it was difficult to kind of overcome
Yeah.
these very classic sounding songs.
Yeah.
Um, but generally speaking, it's just like it can be struggle to like working with, especially, I mean, most of my stuff has been with pentatonics,
Hmm.
so we've had a lot of conversations about that, about specific songs being like like Bohemian Rhapsody, stuff like that. And
Yeah.
there are certain songs that we really just want to adapt. We want to
Yeah.
take the original version and we want to create our own version of that without really changing it too much. So that's
Yeah.
what happens a lot of the time. And the adaptations can be really satisfying. And Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy is pretty much an adaptation. I took the original piano score um, and transcribed it, and then I just kind of, revoiced things and changed some chords here and there. But it has the same character as the original, or at least that was the intent.